To fully appreciate the absolute devastation of my revenge, you need to understand how Brittany's perfect lifestyle was actually funded. My name is Claire. I am 62 years old. My late husband and I built a commercial real estate development firm from the ground up. When he passed away 8 years ago, I took over the company, expanded it, and eventually sold my majority shares for a very, very comfortable 8-figure sum. I am financially secure for the rest of my life. My son, David, is 32. I love David, but he has always been passive. He's a graphic designer who makes a modest salary, but he has the taste of a billionaire. 3 years ago, David married Brittany. Brittany is 27, an aspiring lifestyle influencer who believes she was put on this earth to be pampered. From the moment they got engaged, she made it very clear that David's modest income wasn't going to cut it. And like a fool, I stepped in to fix it. I wanted my son to be happy. I didn't want him stressing about bills. So, when they started house hunting, I did what wealthy mothers often do. I bought a house. I purchased a massive, beautiful estate in an exclusive gated community under one of my private LLCs. I let David and Brittany move in, entirely rent-free. They just had to pay the utilities, but it didn't stop there. Brittany wanted a Range Rover. David couldn't get approved for the financing, so I co-signed the lease and ended up making the monthly payments. I added David as an authorized user on my Platinum American Express card for emergencies. Over the last 3 years, that emergency card paid for Brittany's designer bags, her weekly spa treatments, and her luxury vacations. I was subsidizing their entire existence. I was handing them a millionaire lifestyle on a silver platter. But instead of gratitude, Brittany treated me with sheer contempt. She constantly made passive-aggressive comments about my age. She excluded me from family dinners. She acted as if she had earned the wealth she was swimming in, and I was just an annoying peasant who occasionally showed up to bother her. David never defended me. He was too terrified of her tantrums. I swallowed my pride to keep the peace. Until the night of the party. Brittany had been planning this summer gala for 2 months. She wanted to invite all the local influencers, boutique owners, and country club wives to show off her lifestyle. She used my Amex to hire a luxury catering company, a string quartet, and a professional photographer. The total cost of the party was hovering around $12,000. I wasn't even formally invited. David called me the morning of, asking if I wanted to stop by. I decided to go, thinking maybe, just maybe, we could have a nice evening as a family. I arrived wearing a simple, elegant navy dress, nothing flashy. I don't need to wear logos to know what my bank account looks like. When I walked into the backyard, Brittany glared at me as if a stray dog had wandered onto her patio. She spent the entire evening ignoring me. And then came the insult. We worked our fingers to the bone for this estate. She practically looks like the hired help. You're ruining the aesthetic. When those words left her mouth, and she handed me her dirty champagne glass, something inside my chest went perfectly, completely still. The illusion broke. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw a hollow, arrogant little girl playing dress-up in a house I owned, drinking wine I paid for, wearing jewelry charged to my name. And I looked at my son, who was standing 10 feet away, heard the whole exchange, and just looked down at his shoes. I didn't feel angry. I felt incredibly, dangerously clear-headed. I took the glass. I walked through the massive French doors into the kitchen. I set the glass on the marble counter. I picked up my purse, walked out the front door, got into my car, and drove back to my own home in total silence. I poured myself a glass of scotch, sat at my home office desk, and opened my laptop. It was time to take out the trash. By 8 a.m. on Monday, I was fully caffeinated and sitting in my lawyer's office. My first call was to American Express. "Hi, yes, this is Claire. I need to remove an authorized user from my Platinum account. David's card. Yes, immediately. No, do not send a replacement. Freeze the card." With one click, Brittany's limitless shopping spree evaporated. Next was the dealership. Because I was the primary leaseholder on Brittany's Range Rover, and because I was the one making the payments, I had full legal authority over the vehicle. I called the dealership and told them I was voluntarily surrendering the vehicle. I gave them the address of the estate and told them to send the tow truck to pick it up on Tuesday morning. And finally, the crown jewel, the house. I sat across from my real estate attorney, Robert, and smiled. "Robert," I said, "I'd like to issue a formal 30-day notice to vacate to the occupants of the property. Month-to-month tenancy is over. The LLC is putting the house on the market." Robert raised an eyebrow, knowing exactly who lived there. "Are you sure, Claire?" "I have never been more sure of anything in my entire life," I replied. By Tuesday afternoon, the trap was set. All I had to do was wait for the dominoes to fall. I didn't have to wait long. At exactly 1:15 p.m. on Wednesday, my phone screen lit up. "Incoming. Call. David." I let it ring. "Incoming. Call. David." I let it go to voicemail. Then the text messages started pouring in. "Mom, call me back immediately. What is going on with the Amex? Brittany is at the spa and her card declined in front of everyone. They threatened to call the police." 10 minutes later, another text. "Mom, where is Brittany's car? She took an Uber home from the spa and the Range Rover is gone from the driveway. Did you report it stolen?" And finally, at 4:30 p.m., the grand finale. "Mom, are you kidding me? A process server just handed me a 30-day eviction notice. It says Horizon LLC is forcing us out. What are you doing? Answer the phone." I poured myself a fresh cup of tea, sat in my favorite armchair, and finally answered his 7th phone call. "David," I said calmly. "Mom," he screamed. In the background, I could hear Brittany wailing hysterically. "What the hell is happening? Are you punishing us? You canceled our cards. They towed Brittany's car, and we are getting evicted?" "Correction, David," I said, my voice smooth as glass. "I canceled my card. I surrendered my car, and my LLC is selling my house." But why?" he stammered, the panic thick in his throat. "Because on Saturday night, your wife humiliated me in front of 60 people. She told the world that she worked her fingers to the bone for that house. She called me the hired help, and you stood there and said nothing." The line went dead silent. Only Brittany's muffled sobbing could be heard. "So," I continued, "I decided to stop ruining her aesthetic. You and Brittany are strong, independent, hard-working adults. You don't need my money, my credit, or my house. You have exactly 29 days to vacate the premises before the sheriff removes you. I suggest you start packing." "Mom, please. We don't have the savings for a deposit on a place right now. We have nothing." "Then I guess Brittany better start working her fingers to the bone," I whispered. I hung up the phone, and then I blocked both of their numbers. The fallout was spectacular. Without my money, Brittany's influencer lifestyle evaporated overnight. They couldn't afford to stay in that zip code. David had to beg a friend to let them rent a tiny 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. Brittany had to trade her luxury SUV for a 10-year-old used Honda. From what I hear through the family grapevine, the stress of actually having to pay their own bills caused a massive rift in their marriage. Last I heard, Brittany was threatening divorce because David couldn't provide for her the way she deserved. I sold the estate for a massive profit. I took that money, booked a first-class ticket to Italy, and spent 6 weeks drinking real champagne on the Amalfi Coast. Society tells mothers that our job is to sacrifice, that we must endure disrespect, entitlement, and cruelty from our adult children and their spouses, all in the name of keeping the family together. But I am here to tell you, your money, your peace, and your self-respect are not bargaining chips to be traded for access to an ungrateful child. When you finance someone's arrogance, you are not helping them. You are just buying the exact knife they will eventually use to stab you in the back. Take your name off the deed, cut the cards, and let them learn how cold the real world is when the Bank of Mom finally closes its doors. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. If you've ever had to cut off an entitled family member, let me know how you did it down in the comments below. Stay strong, know your absolute worth, and never let anyone treat you like a guest in a house that you own. I'll see you in the next one.